Well, welcome to our second edition of the Travelling Brush Dippers. Hi Sharon, how are you?
I'm fine, thank you very much. Nice to see you again.
Good. Now, we were due to start recording this a couple of minutes ago, but something happened, Sharon, didn't it? What happened?
Well, I trotted off into the kitchen to go and make a cup of tea, and I turned the kettle on and everything was absolutely hunky-dory for a few minutes, and then all of a sudden it went fut. And so I'm shouting at my husband saying, the kettle's blown up, the kettle's blown up. And there's no bigger crisis than not having a cup of tea when you want one, is there? But of course, by the time I'd gone out,
Utterly.
crisis. We're English, it matters. And so I went out in the garage to go and get the spare kettle. And as I turned the light on, it didn't. And I'm standing there thinking, my brain's ticking over and thinking, no light, no kettle. So yes, we blew a fuse whilst we were, I made the tea.
Oh, bless you. Well, we're here now and it's relaxed. And I have to say, I am so delighted with the reaction we had to our first episode. Hasn't it been wonderful?
Yes, fabulous. Thank you, everybody. Thank you for your support. Yeah,
it's been amazing. It's grown rapidly and we are absolutely delighted. So thank you for your support and thank you for keep sharing us and telling everybody about us.
Absolutely. Thank you.
Indeed. Right. Well, today what we're going to be talking about is Sharon and her wonderful book, How to Draw Unicorns, because who doesn't need a unicorn in their life? In simple steps, no less. No shameless plug there at all, Sharon. And why not? So I was bubbling with questions when we decided to talk about this. And the first one, I want to take it back to the beginning. Where did you start with your love for fantasy art and dragons, unicorns and...
Oh, my goodness. Right at the very, very beginning, when I was a teeny tiny tot, we used to share a house. We lived with my grandma. And my nan was very, very magical and into all the mystical fairy stuff. And we'd go for a walk and she'd be saying to me, shh, be quiet because the fairies are over there, let's go and look for Snow White. So we'd walk through the woods and I'd be looking at the trees and trying to peek behind the bushes looking for Snow White. And if we saw toadstools, she'd, don't touch them, that's where the fairies live. And I'd go to bed at nights and she'd always come and tell me a story, and she'd tell me about the fairies who were dancing on the pillow playing with my hair. And
lovely?
Don't be afraid, go to sleep and the fairies will look after you. So that all kind of started there, and it taught me to look, it taught me to observe and to be quiet, not always be a child running about shouting and exuberant. It taught me to just be.
I was the loud one.
I was loud, don't be mistaken, I could be loud too. But that kind of carried on into my teen years. So if I take people of a similar age, if you go back and you think about sitting and listening to music, and that has a great life force for me, music. I can't paint without it, I just can't. And it's on all of the time. And I used to sit in my bedroom like so many other teenagers, just listening, reading the words, because they were the days when we had all the amazing album covers from vinyl. And some of them you have booklets. So if I take you back to a band called Yes, and you think about their album covers painted by a chap called Roger Dean, they were stunning. I've got some pictures here I can show you if you'd like to have a little look. So let me just go to, we'll go into the screen share and I can show you some bits and pieces if I can find it. Right, so we stopped the video there. Sorry, Denise, screen share. This was a poster that I had on my bedroom wall. So this is a classic Roger Dean. I just loved his artwork, and I've photographed this from a book I have here. And this was a big poster.
I can see how that's inspired you.
Well, look at it. It's just gorgeous, isn't it? And realistically, if you think about it, these are the islands that we've seen in Avatar. I do believe, and I don't think I'm wrong, that actually Roger Dean took out a lawsuit against Avatar because he had the idea of the floating island. before the film did. So now let's have a look. There's that one, and then another that I can show you here.
Lovely.
That was Roger Dean. So my other hero is this chap. Now this is Rodney Matthews. And the two were kind of running concurrently, and his worlds, I just wanted to be there. You know, I just wanted to live in this amazing world with all these incredible plant life, and I just loved it. So
I can really see from your artwork how those have influenced you.
It was me.
Yes, absolutely. So that's where it all started, and that's where your passions came from.
Yeah, totally.
Wonderful. So when it came to writing the book, how did you link up with the publishers? Did they come to you, or did you approach them with an idea? How did it work?
They came to me, and I think that they had been looking for a specific type of book for their market, this niche market, and they thought of me, which is really lovely. I was so pleased to be asked. And then
that's quite impressive, isn't it? It's quite a nice feeling.
Chuffable, yes.
Chuffable.
I had an email from Search Press to say, you know, we're thinking about producing this book, and would you like to be the author of it? And I bit their hand off. What a silly
I can imagine.
What a silly question. So yes, I went straight back, and I do believe my comment at the time was, "What do you think?" Yes, please. I tell you, never forget me.
Yeah, oh, absolutely. Oh, that's brilliant. It's really heartwarming when you get recognised for the sort of work that you do, isn't it?
Yes, exactly. Yes. So yes, therein started the journey, really.
Oh, brilliant. So what sort of a brief did they give you? How much of a free rein did you have? How restricted was it?
Well, I started off with, they wanted 28 images of unicorns, like these behind me. And I'd been told that I needed to produce the line drawings for the unicorns. Well, okay, so that makes sense, because it's a how to draw book.
Okay.
And so I was told that I needed to produce line drawings, probably anything up to 8 for each image. And I had to produce a sketch, so I had to do it in just black and white in pencil, and then the finished image again, as you see behind me. So I can show you again, if you don't mind, the screen sharing.
No, of course not. I'd love to
show
see
you the process that we used here. So it literally went from this was the first image. And in the end, I did five images to build up the picture. So it went from this to, I'll show you the finished picture drawing, that. There we are. And it all shapes to try and make it easy. And each particular process that I took, each step that I took, the new step had to be in red, leaving the previous steps all in black. So it effectively meant that I drew out 196 pictures. I've got the finished items here to show you as well. I was busy.
Yes, that's quite a workload.
This was the pencil sketch, and I managed to get, for the fans of socks out there, my cat, I managed to get socks in on the picture here. And
absolutely
then
fabulous.
Landed up as this one here. So this was the finished picture. And
it's absolutely stunning.
Graphic pens. They asked me if I would please use marker pens, and I will fess up quite honestly and openly now that at that time I used marker pens for playing about and for colouring in, because we all like a colouring book. I do, just mindless colouring. And at that stage, I had got a set of marker pens, and the learning curve was like that, because it wasn't just a case of colouring in now. I had to shade it. I wanted to do it properly.
Yeah.
Do it properly.
And you wanted to understand it enough in order to get that across to other people as well, because I know what you're like.
Absolutely. And if you're going to do something, do it properly. I hit all sorts of problems. The marker pens I used were these here, the style file. So
Okay.
mixed set of pens like this. And I had to go and look on YouTube and really, really study it. So I spent hours at nights when hubby was watching telly with my iPad, going through YouTube videos, learning the shading techniques, the lifting techniques. And then, of course, once I started, I had another mega problem. I mean, the things you don't expect, because the paper I had was junk. You can't just use any kind of paper. And I was trying to use normal drawing and painting paper. Drawing paper, it goes straight through. And it was marking everything I was working on. It was going through the paper.
Crikey,
and then
yes.
I was trying watercolour paper, which is too absorbent. So, of course, it soaks it all in like a front doormat. And you can't move anything. And again, I had to go research on YouTube and go and find the right papers for the right job. So yeah, it was quite a
learning curve.
What I haven't told you is that in the long run, I was invited in September. I didn't really hear very much until the end of October, and then they said they wanted it all by the end of November. 196 pictures. And
wow. And this wasn't in lockdown, was it? This is when you're doing your normal day job as well.
Yes, doing the day job. And I had a poorly mum. She was in hospital the whole time. And so every single day I was driving down to Portsmouth. So that's 25 miles to go and visit the hospital and come back. And coming home in the rush hour. No, food was an issue because, of course, I was driving home in the rush hour. And it was dark and it was winter. It was horrible. But my biggest problem with all of this was the fact that I'd been asked to do the pictures and they'd said to me that they would allocate me an editor, and I didn't hear from the editor for a while. So I thought to myself, well, it's all right, I'll just get stuck in and I'll start. And I'm drawing away and scribbling away, assuming that it was going to be done one way. Big mistake. What do they say about assume? It makes an ass of you and me. 2 right.
Absolutely.
2 right. So my 196 pictures, I was halfway through and they said to me, oh, no, every brand new step has to be in red. And I had assumed that they would put my drawings through a vectoring program on the computer to make all the lines the same size and shape and thickness. Yeah. They don't. It's my sketches. That's it. What you get is WYSIWYG. What you see is what you get.
Yep.
And so I had to start my half all over again. And it's a case of drawing a couple of lines, taking it in next door to the computer, scanning it, saving it, printing that in black, bringing it back, adding the new red lines, back next door, scanning it 5 times. And then I've got to do the drawing.
No idea it was that involved.
And so I was sitting up here at this desk where I am now, right through, the night, and people walking their dogs last walk at night, were waving through the window like this. Oh, Sharon's still at work then. Yeah, Sharon was. So it was my my mistake. I didn't know. I'd never done it before, and you've got that panic thing about I must get cracking.
You do, but it's your mistake, but it's also it shows the importance of communication and having that relationship with your editor so that you understand all of these things from the beginning.
I have to say, the lady that I was dealing with all through it, a lady called Monica Dazan, she was fantastic. I mean, she was
brilliant.
We had a couple of, for some reason, people don't like my emails. They always go to spam. So I'm getting emails from Monica saying, well, where are you then? Did you get my last email? And I said, yes, I answered you twice. but knowing full well that that email was going to go into spam as well. So in the end, we had a brilliant system, because both with her and the editor, I found that if I just pinged them a text at the same time, they knew that stuff was coming.
Oh, that works, doesn't it?
Absolutely.
Oh, wow. So what was, in terms of the process, once you'd done your hundreds of drawings and sent them all off, did you send them off digitally, or did you have to physically send them in?
Well, that therein lies another story, because originally I sent them all in digitally. I put them all in folders, nice and organised, each unicorn. I landed up with 26 in the end, because I did a couple that were complicated and they were double page spreads. So they were all done, and although I had scanned them and saved them really, really high DPI, so for the untechs amongst us, big files, you know, huge files. Excuse me a minute. Do you want to get? I've got to let the cat out, Denise. Sorry.
Oh, bless her.
Come here. Oh, say bye-bye. This is Sarah.
Bye-bye, Sarah.
Now.
How beautiful.
Come on, out you go. Out you go. He was keeping me company whilst I talked to you. So yes, so I'd saved them all. I had my 26 folders on the computer, all perfectly organised. And even although they were that high DPI, big folders with lots and lots of information, it wasn't enough for the printer. So although my A4 goes right down to something this size, they still want it to be mega, you know, lots and lots of pixels. And we were going away every kind of autumn. We try to have just a weekend away to break the winter up.
Yep.
And just find a cheap deal in a hotel. We were down in Woolly Moor. We were. It's beautiful, lovely, up country.
Sounds nice. Okay.
And we took my artwork with us, because they'd said you've got to have to send it. Oh, my baby's in the post.
Yeah, not letting those out of my sight.
I can't tell you. We took it with us, because time at this stage was, we were just about to leave home and go away, and we took everything with us. I wrapped it up well. It was waterproof, solid block. I mean, it was like this thickness of paper. You can imagine how much there was there. And we took it to a post office in Matlock, and I can remember standing at the counter and I was shaking. Nick had his arm around me, and the lady said, "You're all right, dear?" And I said, "Yes, but this is absolutely, totally precious. It's artwork. I cannot replace it. It can't be replaced. And it just needs to be safe, and you need to look after it." So we sent it next day before 1 o'clock, and it was all insured for some incredible amount of money. I don't care. It was priceless to me.
Yeah,
and
absolutely.
I came out of the post office, and I can remember standing there on the steps of the post office crying my eyes out, and Nick saying to me, "It's going to be all right. It will be all right."
Did you have a large gin that evening?
Oh, yes. Oh, yes. So
and another one the next day when you found out they'd arrived. So obviously they got there okay.
I made a promise, made Monica and my editor promise that they would tell me as soon as they'd got it. Yeah.
Oh, that's wonderful. Well, that's good. So from there, you've done your bit. What happens next, and how long does it take?
Oh, well, do you know something? I've got no idea really, and this is something I want to look into. I was given, they emailed me all the proofs so that I could go through it all. And I had to get a couple of other people to do that, because you go blind, don't you? You just don't see. And I was allowed to dedicate it. So that was lovely, because the person at the time in our household who was unicorn mad was Justin's partner, Emma. And so I was able to kind of dedicate it to Emma, which was very nice to be able to do. And I sat and waited, but the lead time is enormous, because I've since spoken to a couple of friends, people we know, so Ali Board and Matthew Palmer, and they were given deadlines for their books that one of them was nearly 18 months in advance to release date. So although I had to get all this in for November, the book wasn't released until June of the following year.
Okay.
So
It's a
it's
fair old
quite
gap, isn't it?
yes, I've recently spoken to Monica and said to her, please, when things calm down a bit, I would absolutely love to be able to come and see you. I'd like to meet the people I've been talking to, and I'd love to actually go to the printers and see how it's, and follow it through so that I know and understand the process, really.
Oh, absolutely. So you waited, they were ready to be released in June. When did you get your proof copy, your first copy?
Oh, I had my first copies a couple of weeks before that. And that was so exciting to get the book. And I can remember putting a picture up. I'll see if I can find it. I put a picture up on Facebook of the box, and on the box it said Sharon Hurst, author, across the book.
Oh,
the box.
How wonderful.
And that was probably one of my highlight moments, really, you know, so proud. And, oh, and the day that they told me, get yourself onto Amazon because you now need to have an author's page. So to have your own author page on Amazon, I was jumping on the spot.
Oh, how much! So I imagine that you danced around the kitchen, that you hugged everybody. The cat's got a great big treat that day.
Yes, yes. So it was very exciting. It's strange, isn't it? All the silly little things that mean so much to us. You know, as creatives, they probably wouldn't ring anybody else's bell, but for us as creatives, it justifies who you are and what you do and how many hours you spend on it all, doesn't it?
Indeed, because you spent all those late nights working into the night to get this done. And when you are a creative, it's not just a case of doing a job. You put your soul into what you do. You're passionate about it. So to have somebody validate what's in here is just amazing.
Yeah, yeah.
So where can we find it? If people want it, where can they get it?
You can go along to Amazon and just put in how to draw unicorns, put my name in. Either of those will find you the book. So you'd be able to source it from there. Yeah.
That's so good, so exciting. And what's next? Do you have any other ideas? Have you got any things that you want to do in the future?
Oh, have I ever? Book-wise, I would adore to be able to, I've got several plans actually. We all want to have, and I'm sure you'll agree with me, we all would love to have a book that is about our ideas, how we paint, what we do, all our little hints and tips, and I'd really like to do that.
Yes.
But I've also got two characters that I paint consistently. And one is Wanda. Yes, she's my good witch, my silly witch who does things wrong.
And I've had quite a few scrapes.
She has had quite a few scrapes, yes, what with the broken broomstick and yes, and the spell that went wrong, and absolutely. So I'd like to paint her story. And I've also been and do the story with it. This is what I mean, not just have the photograph, the pictures of the paintings, but I'd like to fill that in with the stories of what she's up to, what happened, etc. And I've also been painting the people who follow me will know my muse, Luke. I paint him quite a lot. And there's one character who is just, you wouldn't really know who it was, or you only ever see the back of him with the cloak and the hood up, and he's sometimes in the distance. And I would love to work with him creatively and produce a book of the paintings. And he is so good with story writing and telling. I mean, he's a real bard, actually. And to get him the right story that goes with the character. He's done it for a few of them, but I'd like to continue that through and
have it follow through from one theme to the next. Oh, that's amazing. I'm just so excited. I've like you, I've got ideas in my head of things that I would like to do, but it's very different from having this vague idea to actually being able to do the process from start to finish.
Yes.
Very, very proud.
Yeah. I mean, I think For people out there who are thinking of it, it's a difficult world with regards to this nowadays. And having the ideas, it is still not enough for the book publishers. And maybe it's time to be thinking about Amazon and self-publishing if you've got the pennies, or even going with somebody else and putting something together, because times is tough, aren't they? I got lucky because it was something that somebody wanted in a niche slot. But I know authors who have been writing for years and years who now are producing their next book, and nobody wants them because they're not in fashion anymore. Whereas once upon a time they were number 2 in the charts,
Yeah, no, it's so
Hard,
difficult, isn't it? But it's the same across all the creative, particularly during this lockdown. It's been so difficult.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I mean, nobody's selling paintings, are they? Because people are jobless, they don't have the money. It's very difficult. It is difficult.
Very, very difficult indeed. However, on a really positive note, I'm so excited to have seen the book and to now know more about the process. And it's just been fabulous insight. And it's been absolutely brilliant. Thank you very much, Sharon.
Thank you, Denise. Thank you.
And what do we have to say? And
why not dip into our conversation next time? See you then.